This video is going to be pretty brief, but today I want to talk about Mac Jones compared to the other rookie quarterbacks and just talk about what the Patriots are doing and a lot of the things people are talking about in general. I want to address that according to my opinion. So before we get into it, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for the best Patriots content on YouTube. All three of those things help me out so much, so I'd appreciate it greatly. We're going to be using Pro Football Focus today, as well as just the overall touchdowns to interceptions and even yards. All those things will be included in this video to just kind of state my argument. So far, I kind of wanted to wait 1 week after week one to make this video because we wanted a larger sample size. The sample size isn't even that large yet, but 2 weeks is better than 1 week. It's actually twice as good. But we're going to be talking about all of the things that have happened over the past 2 weeks, what I think the Patriots are doing, and what a lot of people are blaming on Mac Jones when really I think the coaching staff is behind everything that's happening. One of the biggest issues that people have had with Mac Jones so far is they're saying, well, yeah, he can dink and dunk it. You know, he hasn't had any interceptions, yeah, and he's had a lot of yards, yeah, and we've been playing really good, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of exceptions to make, but that's what people are trying to say. But he hasn't thrown it deep, you know? He hasn't thrown it any deep touchdowns, so what does it matter? I mean, I think really what it is people want to see more exciting football, and they're not really going to get it anytime soon. The Patriots are more about worried about winning than entertaining you. That's at the end of the day, that's really where it's at. And you guys want to see a Patrick Mahomes, and Mac Jones is not a Patrick Mahomes. Uh, Zach Wilson was advertised more as the deep passing Patrick Mahomes type quarterback, and Justin Fields was advertised as the more running slash pocket passer quarterback. Not quite a Lamar Jackson. He's not as good at running as Lamar Jackson. I like Ohio State a lot, so I know a lot about Justin Fields. He can kind of run it, but he is a lot like a pocket passer too, with some mobility. He's actually, kind of like an Aaron Rodgers. He's pretty quick, but he doesn't have quite the arm strength. It's confusing. I mean, Justin Fields is kind of his own type of player, but not quite a run only quarterback for sure. He can move, but definitely doesn't have the power of Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers like Zach Wilson has been advertised. He definitely has a lot of throw power, but just not quite as much. Trey Lance is kind of that more exciting, potential pick. He can run really well. He can kind of run like Cam Newton. He's kind of bigger, so it's less of like a shifty, speedy running type. He does have that size to him, but it's not quite a Cam Newton, also quite not Lamar Jackson. Isn't it funny how literally no human being is exactly the same as a different one? Although we try to always compare a quarterback to a different one as if they're going to somehow be even remotely close to them, when almost every single quarterback that's come into the NFL is just their own type of player. We've never seen another Aaron Rodgers. We've never seen another Tom Brady, and we've never seen another Lamar Jackson. We've seen players that are kind of similar, but everybody has their own attributes. If one attribute is the same as somebody else, a different one will be completely different. So every human being is different. Isn't that amazing? I know it's shocking, right? Well, look, let's talk more about Mac Jones, okay? Nobody is like Mac Jones either, and Mac Jones is one of the most accurate quarterbacks coming out of college that I've ever seen. And it's amazing that he's been able to actually kind of just congruently carry over that accuracy from college to the NFL, despite it being his receivers that made him look good, right? Somehow he has the same general completion percentage as he had in Alabama. But the Patriots have no weapons. How's he doing this? Well, newsflash, everybody. Although we didn't know this, and that's a good argument. We didn't know because he did have a lot of wide open receivers. So we didn't know if that was what was making him look good or not. It was kind of a bit of a wild card. Although I will say, we know now that Mac Jones is an accurate passer. Through 2 weeks, we can firmly say that. We saw it in the preseason, we saw it in the training camp, we saw it in the mini camp. Only Patriots fans saw it in the training camp and mini camp. Nobody else was paying attention. Most people didn't see it in the preseason either, although it started to build more hype. And then obviously now in the regular season, I think the nation is starting to see it. He is a very accurate passer. We saw the touch pass versus the Jets, where he was able to put it to Jacoby Myers. I mean, he was covered really well, but that pass was impossible to defend. We also saw it the week prior to James White with a very touch pass, The one versus the Jets was on the left side of the field. The one to James White in week 1 was to the right side of the field. And I feel like that's important too because he can do it on both sides. It's not just like he has his comfort zone and then he can't do it elsewhere. No, he's been doing it actually to both sides. We haven't really seen him do it over the middle yet, which is obviously really hard to do. That would be interesting to see. I'm sure he could do it if there was a guy with no safety over top of him, but you can't really pull that off if there's a safety right there. The point of a touch pass is to leave it out of reach of any defender when your receiver is really tightly covered, but you have to put it, an inch of a mistake could be a big one. But Mac Jones has been able to pull off this precise laser accuracy that I think deserves a lot of praise. Now, with that being said, a lot of people, are feeling like he didn't throw a lot of touchdowns. He threw 1 in week 1 and 0 in week 2. He's really bad. He can't even get it in the end zone. He needs to be more aggressive. Do you really think quarterbacks are out there? Like, it shows how much you know about the NFL if you really think quarterbacks are out there like, I'm not going to throw it to the end zone. I'm going to throw it down here. You do know that coaches basically before the play pick which receiver you're going to throw it to. They basically know who's going to get open. Everybody else on the field is there kind of just in case. But at this point, it is Josh McDaniels that is picking where Mac Jones is throwing it. And every single time he has a wide open check down, and if you're getting 3 to 4 to 5 yards, there is absolutely zero reason to try to chuck it downfield. Zero reason. If you get five yards of play, I mean, you're getting a first down on second down, and then you're getting a first down, second down, first down, second down. You're not even getting to third down in that case. We did see them get to third down. The running game fell apart, and we need to see a better running game. But the check down was working from time to time, and we saw Mac Jones throw those touch passes in the more medium range, and some passes where he had an open receiver in the medium range as well. So he's able to convert those third downs as well and throw accurate passers when there is a receiver open. He's not going to force a pass, and I love that about him. We saw Zach Wilson yesterday. A lot of people, I don't even know what they're thinking. They, they're saying they would rather basically Mac Jones play like Zach Wilson played yesterday than how Mac Jones is playing, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. The confidence in a rookie quarterback is the most important thing. We saw this with Sam Darnold, and we saw this with Zach Wilson yesterday. After Zach Wilson threw his first 2 passes were interceptions, I knew it was game over for him. He was going to fall apart, and he threw 2 more after that, 4 interceptions. Still, people think they would rather have Mac Jones play like that. They think that's going to be the better learning experience. Maybe for some people, I mean, everybody's different. Like I said before, I really touched on that earlier. Peyton Manning, it really worked well for him. But maybe if Peyton Manning had a really good conservative first season, he would have been even better in his career than he even was, which is hard to think of, but maybe. I don't know. Because Tom Brady had a better career than Peyton Manning, and they didn't play Tom Brady like this gunslinger, like, just go out there and throw it, and let's see what happens. You'll learn the lessons, worst case. They didn't have that mentality. They said, no, we're going to win games. You're going to hardly pass it. And if you do, it's going to be a 5 to 10 yard pass. And they played him that way for I don't even know how long, like 2 or 3 years. I was born in 2000, so I was like 3 years old. So, but I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, that's how they played him for quite a while. Actually, they kind of had the training wheels on, and it worked really well for Tom Brady. And he's one of the more, I would say, he's the most confident passer of all time, and probably the most safest passer. It's great how Tom Brady can be so situational though, because we've seen him be so safe with the ball when the game is still like really in reach and there's a lot of time left, but we see him really force it when it's just worth it to force it. You're either going to lose or you're either going to pass it deep or you're definitely going to lose. So if passing it deep into a dangerous situation is your only chance to win, Tom Brady's willing to take that. We saw that versus, a lot of games where we lose and Tom Brady throws an interception, people blame it on him, but that's the smart play. I mean, if you're down, you just got to chuck it up, and I love that about him. Anyway, this video isn't about Tom Brady, it's about Mac Jones. We've seen Mac Jones also throw it deep in situations and do some more aggressive passes. I liked yesterday, or sorry, it was 2 days ago actually, versus the Jets. Right before halftime, we had the ball, and they were actually driving the ball really nicely, and they got a field goal on that drive. That actually reminded me of Tom Brady a little bit, during those Super Bowls where you see him really driving it down the field efficiently, especially in those high-pressure situations where it's like, all right, look, you got limited time, let's get it down the field. And I feel like Mac Jones thrived in that situation. Keep in mind, it was the Jets. The Jets had a really good pass rush, though, so I hate how people are like, it's just the Jets. Well, they were sacking him left and right, so It might just be the Jets, but Mac Jones was certainly under a lot of pressure, to say the least. There were some good things to to see in that game for Mac Jones, I think. Uh, yeah, the coaching staff is definitely being very, very conservative with him because they're trying to build his confidence. We could see him start to throw it more aggressively later this season, or even it could be in a couple of seasons from now. But if as long as we're winning games, it doesn't really matter if they can get the run game going. They don't need Mac Jones to pass it deep, really. And I don't think Mac Jones, like I said in I think yesterday's video, I mean, I don't think Mac Jones cares if he's throwing touchdowns or deep passes at all. I think he's more worried about the win. So he definitely has slept really good the past 2 nights, and he feels really good because he got the win. It was funny, however, to see him very disappointed in throwing his fourth incompletion. He seemed more disappointed than Zach Wilson seemed after throwing his fourth interception. So we could see that Mac Jones' standards are a lot higher than some other rookie quarterbacks. We haven't even gotten into the Pro Football Focus part of this video, so let's just break it down. Despite Mac Jones not throwing deep passes, as people have said, he has thrown some really nice moderate passes, though, and some touch passes. I would argue that Mac Jones' 2 touch passes are more impressive than any of the other rookie quarterbacks' passes this entire season so far. Both Mac Jones' pass to James White and then also his pass to Jacoby Myers. That is a lot harder to throw than a wide open deep pass. So Mac Jones could obviously pull off the wide open deep pass. We saw him do it in Alabama for an entire season, left and right. But so that's an easy pass that every quarterback should be able to make. But Mac Jones is pulling off these very difficult touch passes where he knows he can just put it where he wants it and where his receiver can only get it. It's amazing. Now, Pro Football Focus grades Mac Jones has a 71.2 through 2 games. 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 467 yards. That's second most on the yards by 1 yard to Zach Wilson. And Zach Wilson got a lot of yards during the crap time yesterday, if you will. Or, sorry, I keep saying yesterday. Sunday, after the game was already lost, we kind of turned into a bend-don't-break defense, and we're giving them like 10 to 20-yard passes. Zach Wilson got at least 50 yards plus during that time of the game. That's very common in the NFL, and people don't really address that, but a lot of yards came from that. And I'm sure well, actually, you know what? The game versus the Panthers was actually a lot closer, so I'm sure that didn't come from that game. But yes, yesterday's game, Zach Wilson did get a lot of yards during the crap time when we were just giving it up to eat some clock. But Zach Wilson had a 58.5, so think of that. 71.2 in first place for Mac Jones, 58.5 for Zach Wilson in second place. That is a huge difference. Now, Zach Wilson does have 2 touchdowns, though. And, you know, a lot of people are trying to argue that Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are having better seasons than Mac Jones because they have more touchdowns. Well, look next to it. 5 interceptions, 4 of which came the other day versus the Patriots. He does have 1 more yard than Mac Jones, though. But the Pro Football Focus grade is going to take into account a lot more than the stats can show you based on accuracy of the pass, everything, decision-making, all of it. So that is a much better indicator than even the touchdowns, the interceptions, or the yards, where the touchdown to interception ratio says it all, in my opinion. The Pro Football Focus grade comes in and reassures it for sure. Justin Fields, who we do have a limited sample size on, so I'm not ready. And I like Justin Fields, by the way, a lot. So, you know, I said I like Ohio State a lot. 54.2, so 4 less than Zach Wilson. So a pretty big chunk there. A pretty big difference between Zach Wilson and Justin Fields. But again, the sample size is a lot different. He had 0 touchdowns and 1 interception, 70 yards. He came in for a portion of their game on Sunday. And that is what happened. Trevor Lawrence, who I think has thrown the most deep passes, has a 47.8. Okay, so that is a 7-point difference between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence there. More than a 10-point difference between Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson on the Pro Football Focus grade. He does have 4 touchdowns, which is the most amongst rookies. I think 4 versus 0 there from Justin Fields to Trevor Lawrence does mean something, but 5 interceptions, that ratio is not good. You know, when you throw an interception, you're throwing away a possession and you're giving the other team an opportunity to score. Now, I don't know how many times the team scored on those 5 interceptions, but I'm guessing it's at least half, give or take. So you obviously can't get half of 5, but I'm guessing that it was somewhere around there. You know, either 2 or 3 of those drives led to either a field goal or a touchdown. So you're putting your team in a bad position by doing that. So I would argue that 5 interceptions versus 4 touchdowns, I'd rather have 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions than 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I'd rather have the 1 touchdown that Mac Jones had and 0 interceptions. I'd rather have that versus any of these quarterbacks, except for Trey Lance. I'll get to that in a second. But 450 yards. I'm surprised he has less yards than Zach Wilson and Mac Jones, actually, because he has thrown it deep very many times and he has thrown it a lot. That just goes to show that the dink and dunk can be more effective than throwing it deep every time and throwing these risky passes. I think all of these teams, if they were smart, would have had all of their quarterbacks building confidence, throwing it short, taking losses if you have to, establishing the running game. But basically, the middle three of these don't have teams that can even, be flexible. They have like they're in a win now mentality, and basically their quarterback is the best thing on their team. So they are relying on this rookie quarterback that has no confidence yet in the NFL to basically come out there and win. And you can see that those three have done the worst so far, in my opinion, out of the five. The Patriots are in the best position to give their rookie an opportunity to build confidence, and they can win other ways via the defense, via the running game, and other things. The running game needs to get a little bit better, but the short passing game is really good as well, which is practically running the ball. So they put their rookie in a nice position to build confidence, have solid games, establish himself in the NFL. I like the way the Patriots are doing it. I wouldn't like them to do it any other way. The only other way that I would like them to handle a rookie quarterback is just not playing him at all his first season. That's the only other way to build that much confidence, and really, don't risk anything as far as breaking his confidence. We've seen so many teams destroy quarterbacks by destroying their confidence. It's not even funny. And I think that's the worst way to handle a rookie quarterback. Very few can overcome that. Again, I mentioned him. Peyton Manning is a great example of a guy who's just able to overcome that confidence issue, but many others don't. I mean, I would say it's like 90% of them don't. If they start their NFL with bad confidence, it's very rare for them to kind of bounce back. Um, then Trey Lance, we have here at the bottom. He has a very small sample size, even smaller than Justin Fields, so I'm not going to say much about Trey Lance. He does have a 47.7. I don't know how he has a 47.7 because I think he's thrown like one pass. Actually, you know what? I think I know what it is. He's thrown multiple passes in the end zone, I think, and only one was a completion. So I think that's why his grade is so low. And since it's such a small sample size, throwing like two incompletions and one touchdown kind of evens out at about like 50-50 because it's 0 to 100 on this grade. So that's why he has about a 50. Um, so one touchdown, zero interceptions, only 5 yards. I think the only pass he's completed is that touchdown in the end zone in week one. So, I mean, pretty nice way to start off his NFL career. But I can't wait to see more from him. Right now, I think as far as like who's having, who's in the best position to build confidence and not really have their career destroyed right now, I would say it's Mac Jones at number one, Trey Lance at number two because they're not playing him. I think that's a good way to go too. Like let him learn in practice. So I like how they're handling it. So Mac Jones, Trey Lance. Um, I would say Justin Fields at three. I feel like if they can, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but if they can get Andy Dalton back in there and just protect Justin Fields, they need to do that. Justin Fields, I know the fans really want to see him, but at this point, his confidence is going to be absolutely destroyed, just like Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence. He's going to enter into that club where he has more interceptions than touchdowns. And then you're kind of relying on him being like that 10% of people that can overcome that confidence loss that comes with having a bad rookie season. So I think for Bears fans, the best option here is to not play Justin Fields because your team around him just is not supportive enough, especially the offensive line, which isn't even that terrible, but you don't have the pieces around him to really build that confidence. So you'd rather in practice bring in some more pieces this upcoming offseason, draft some pieces for him specifically, and put him in a better position to build some confidence next season. That's the best way to go. If I was somehow, unfortunately, the Jets or the Jaguars general manager, I'd probably bench both of them and put another quarterback above them and then build the team up over this next offseason through the draft, through the free agency, build a better offensive line, get some weapons, build up the defense. I know it's hard to do all of those things, and every team would love to do all of those things, but that's kind of what you have to do, and that's what the Patriots have done. I mean, over the years, they've set up a great team, and that's how they've brought in, that this situation for Mac Jones. But at this point, only the 49ers and the Bears tried to, and then the Patriots are handling this pretty smartly by limiting the mistakes the quarterbacks can make. They tried that with Justin Fields at least, but now that Andy Dalton got injured, they had to bring him in, and you can see that it kind of didn't go very well. So that's my thoughts right now on all the rookie quarterbacks. Obviously, Mac Jones at this point is the best out of all of them so far this season. He does have the best pieces around him. I think coming out of college, your talent level is only 50% of the equation. as to how good of an NFL quarterback he will be. That's why I hate when people are like, your ceiling isn't that high. I mean, Tom Brady's ceiling wasn't that high, but the team around him, the things that built his confidence, like winning a Super Bowl in your first year, I mean, what more could build up your confidence than that? I think it's the things that happened after he was drafted that really led to Tom Brady being great, not what happened before he was drafted. So for any of these guys, what happened before they were drafted is now in the past, and now it's about what happens after they got drafted. And I think that's the other 50% of the equation. And right now, Mac Jones, I think he had one of the better. I don't think he was at the bottom as far as how great he was in college, based on accuracy, maturity, decision making, things like that. But he's certainly at the top of what's happening after he's gotten drafted, and that is a big half of the equation, like I said before. So anyway, that's all of my thoughts on this. Let me know if you agree, disagree, whatever. If you're a Jets fan, 49ers fan, Bears fan, Jaguars fan, let me know what your thoughts are. I mean, this is just how I feel right now. I know it's easy to be biased, but when the stats look like this, it's clearly not bias at this point. It's actually just the facts. So um, that's how it is right now, in my opinion, and pretty much on the stat sheet. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys disagree or agree. Be sure to also smash that like button and subscribe for the best Patriots content on YouTube. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.